Welcome in, everybody, to the Hammond Civic Center. Michael Brenner here along with Wes Lukosius. This is the 37th annual Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, brought to you by Strack Van Til. Wes, first off, on a personal, it is great to see you.
Well, the feeling's mutual, Michael. We go back a long ways here. So
we do.
It is good to reacquaint one another here at an outing such as this.
And it can only happen in things like Hammond, Indiana, right? That you get to reconnect and reminisce about the old times. I can't tell you how many times I listen to stories of some guys from who are back from Hessville or Hammond or whatever, and it's always the glory days of living, talking about those times.
Well, it is very much a historical town.
Yes.
When it comes to sports, and that's what this Hammond Sports Hall of Fame is all about here, this 37th annual induction. Just if the walls could talk here, if the gymnasium in which we're standing could speak, because there have been some historic games and just some amazing stories about some of the people involved throughout the years of Hammond Sports.
And you're a big part of that. You've been a part of this Hammond Sports Hall of Fame for a number of years, I believe going back all the way to 1987. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Well, I've been involved since the very beginning. So 37 inductions we've had, and I've been involved with all of them. So in a planning capacity. So it's been fun. It's a labor of love. We have a wonderful steering committee and volunteer committee and folks involved here who have played sports, who have coached sports, who have been involved in sports in some capacity here in Hammond, and it's a labor of love for them as they serve year after year, trying to make every induction a little bit better.
So tell me about the process that it takes to get some of the inductees. Obviously 37 years, I'm sure. I don't know the exact number of inductees that you guys have. You may have that number. But just kind of go through the process in which somebody gets inducted into this Hammond Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, we'll address that briefly this evening, but it starts with a nomination form. So we invite the community to submit a nomination form. We have an official form. It's available on the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame website. They're in the induction. One is in each of the induction programs tonight, so people can take it home with them if they have someone in mind or someone's in mind whom they would like to be considered. They would fill out the form, get it back to us here at the Civic Center, and our committee will take it from there.
Okay, and can you tell me just some of the inductees that kind of stick out to you that maybe some of those fans at home would recognize, just a couple of them maybe that you want to maybe spotlight? I know there's a lot of them out there.
Well, there are a number of them. Darrell Cheney at Morton was a Parade Magazine All-American quarterback for the 1965 Morton football team that was considered the mythical state champions, and yet he was offered scholarships to go play football, but instead his passion was baseball, and he went and played for the Cincinnati Reds. He was part of the Big Red Machine during that era, so he's one of them. Rudy Chapa, Kerry Pinkowski, two of the premier runners here in the city of Hammond, ran for Hammond High School, and the two of them, along with a teammate of theirs, Tim Keogh, who is also inducted into the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, did an amazing accomplishment in the late mid-1970s. Each of them broke the 9-minute mark running the 2-mile within a 48-hour period of time, and it was considered so awesome that Sports Illustrated mentioned them, did a brief piece on them in one of their issues.
Very cool, very cool. Do you want to say a little bit about our inductees? And I know we're going to have them enshrined a little bit later on in this dinner that's coming up here in a little bit, but just a little bit about the inductees tonight and kind of how they got their, obviously through their nomination a little bit.
Well, we have people from different schools here tonight. I'm sorry.
I can help you.
Probably if I got this here. Juan Alba, I can go alphabetically,
sure.
was a great athlete at Gabbett, all-state football player. He was a track and field thrower, and he went on and threw for Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame, and so he's had a great career. Roy McPipe was a basketball player at Hammond High in the mid-1970s, graduated in '74. And then he went on to play in Montana, what is now Montana State Billings, and had an All-American NAIA career, and went on to sign with the Utah Stars of what was then the ABA, the old ABA, the American Basketball Association. So he's being inducted. Mark Nagy, another great Hammond High athlete, football and track and field with the weights, went on to Butler and competed there. Jim Tarka has been a long time coach of track and field and cross country at Bishop Knoll. coached a couple of amazing track teams to second and third place finishes in the state track meet. And then for the first time in the history of the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, we're inducting an entire team. The 1972 Hammond Edison Little League team that went all the way to the championship game of the Little League World Series, losing to Taiwan. But this was back in the day, early 1970s, when it was single elimination, do or die every game. As soon as you lost, you were done. And Edison went through it, went 12-0, and got to the championship game before falling to Taiwan. And so we have at least 8, maybe 9 of those players here this evening who will partake in this induction.
Very cool. Very excited to get this thing started. I know you've got a lot to do here. You're going to be speaking. It was actually fun for me to be able to see, if you can see the backdrop we got behind us of a lot of these photos, to see West Lacocious throughout the years. That was fun from my perspective. So if you want to come out, this is a great event here at the Hammond Civic Center in future years. I mean, as you said, if these walls could talk, the amount, and then just kind of that feel, especially now that we're in the tournament time of basketball, it's got that old-time feel, but getting to reminisce about the days of Hammond and everything like that. And I know they're going through some changes, obviously school-wise, but yeah, it's just still fun to reconnect and bring all those schools back together in one room again.
Well, absolutely. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. There's always been sports excellence. There have been amazing athletes here, whether as athletes or coaches, or have contributed in other ways. So it's just a labor of love here to be a part of something like this.
All right. Well, it is great to talk to you. We'll let you go. I know you've been busy walking through the halls, so we'll let you get back to what you got to do up for Master of Ceremonies a little bit later on, I'm sure. So we'll let you go, but we'll have plenty more coverage here from the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, brought to you by Strack Van Til on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Center tonight. Chris Ramirez here with you. It's the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony and dinner at this historic building on Soul Avenue, and we are extremely happy and grateful to be here. Right now we've got the 1972 Edison Little League team, global runners-up, second in the world in Little League Baseball's World Series as 12-year-olds back in the summer of 1972. Hard to believe it took this long to get in, but maybe a little glitch in the rules. We got Tom Bialik here and the rest of the 72 team that we're going to meet in just a moment. But first of all, everyone, congratulations on the induction here. Definitely long overdue, and I'm eager to kind of find out what it was like as a 12-year-old to make that trip, because it's something that every 12-year-old that plays baseball wants to do. That's the goal when you first join Little League, is to make the trip you guys did as 12-year-olds. So I want to know more about that. I'm going to have Tom Bialik here join me to help with the introductions. Tom, you remember this great team here. So if you could, please take us around the horn here, starting with George.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks so much, Chris, for having us. We sure appreciate this. Leading off is one of my childhood heroes, and I'm going to try not to tear up when I say this, but my great friend who I've known most of my life, George Leonakis. Next to him, our great second baseman, Mike Rosgani. Another childhood friend, Pete Del Rio, our right fielder. Ironman catcher behind the plate, Jeff Wright. Strong-arm left-handed pitcher, John Davis. Another catcher, Ironman, whose father was our team manager, Peter Vargalich. Jimmy Polowitz, our smooth fielding shortstop, and my great friend Tom Parker, maker of Miracle Circus catches in center field in the state championship game. So these are our representatives who are here tonight, and we're just so delighted to be here.
And certainly glad to have all of you guys. 9, how fitting. There's 90, starting lineup if we need it. Is there anybody here not a part of the team that you're able to mention?
Well, we do have a few players who aren't able to be here tonight. Robbie Clark is in one of our pitchers, also is in Oklahoma, wasn't able to make the trip. Steve Moore, unable to be here, at least so far. We were hoping he'd make it. Gary Fredericks, one of our pitchers, not able to be here, and Joe Rixey, also not here, as well as Tim Parker, who unfortunately passed away several years ago.
Well, thank you for all of those names. And again, guys, congratulations. What an incredible run and journey it must have been back in the summer of 72. George, I'm going to start with you here standing next to me. I want to know what it was like, and when did the dream really start that you guys, I guess it's kind of a pipe dream. Every kid has the dream at 12 years old. But at what point do you start to realize, or did you guys start to realize as a team, that the dream might be a chance at reality?
Well, we started probably when we were 8 years old. Our manager, Mr. Vargalich, he saw an awful lot of talent in us. So that would have been in summer of 1968. And he saw us as 8-year-olds, and he says, I think these boys got something here. Maybe in 5 years, 72, maybe we can go all the way. So that was in our brain ever since back then. And then he worked and trained us really hard from the time we were 8 to 12. So then summer of 72, we were all ready to go.
So this was a journey that didn't start in the spring of 1972. This was something that started long before that. So then were all or the majority of you guys still together, or together from the time as 8-year-olds? Is that when the All-Star process started? Here, I'm going to have you join in, and you're Mike. Go ahead,
Mike Rosgani. Yeah, listen, we were all different teams in the league, right? So we were competing against each other for all those years. So of the 14 guys, I think on an average maybe 2 or 3 from each team were selected to the All-Star team, but during the year we were battling each other. So that's what really made us good, I think, is we were competing against each other, competing against the best in the United States. We had superb pitching. George, John, Robbie, we had big kids. They threw hard. We never faced, quite frankly, hardly anybody as good as our pitchers. So we practiced against them every day.
So then, much different for anybody that follows Little League today. The All-Star team is kind of put together at the start of the season, or the start even of a career. Much different back in those days. So when you guys came in, each guy had to try out for the All-Star team. Would that kind of be the process? And kind of, if you could, sort of take us through that, if you would. And you're Pete, if you could tell us a little bit about the All-Star process and what it's like and how you made the team.
We were all just, all on different teams, so we were just selected as All-Stars. So we, like Mike said, we just had to compete, which made us better. We had to compete against one another throughout the year, and so that truly helped, defined our baseball careers and made us much, much, much better.
And who we got here? Jeff. Okay, Jeff, thank you for joining us. Jeff, tell us a little bit your thoughts and what you remember most about that journey.
Well, I'll tell you what I remember is that our pitchers were awesome, and back in the day when when you were 12 years old, you wasn't pitching. We had them at first base, third base, so they were. I think they were the cream of the crop, and we just followed them behind them. And like I said, I was the catcher, and I think I remember one occasion when Robbie Clark was pitching in a state tournament in Lebanon, and he threw a ball too close to the batter. The guy asked for his mother. Because yeah, me and the umpire looked at each other and said, "What are you talking about?" Because I'm not betting against this guy. I mean, but we had awesome pitching, and like I said, being a catcher, me and Pete, he could back me up on that. That's how we got there. I mean, and they were pitching to get you there. You know what I mean? So. We had it. Like I said, and they were our best athletes on the field too. So. Yeah.
Tom, anything for the gentleman on this side here?
Absolutely. I'd like to introduce my great friend Tom Parker. Tom, our utility player, center fielder, and catcher. Tom, what was it like back in 1972 for you?
Well, it was just a lot of baseball. The thing I think I remember the most is that we did have a lot of big guys that were pitchers out there. I remember that's why we dominated a lot of teams, because we could throw 3 different guys, 2 innings apiece, and just with their best stuff, and really shut a lot of the teams out. My role was really going in when some of these guys needed a break. Maybe they pitched, or maybe they were needed a break for a little bit, or they pitched the game before, is to go out and fulfill some role. I was really a role player where I could go out and play center field, or I could go play right field, shortstop for a few innings or whatever, and get out there and play, and I was a good contact hitter, so that was kind of my role to fill. But I just remember being one of the shorter guys on the team, looking at all these big pitchers and thinking, boy, I'm glad I don't have to face these guys, because I don't think we saw another team until the final that we actually had pitching of the stature that we had on our baseball team.
I kind of felt the same way hanging around these big, tall guys here also. My other great friend, Mr. Jim Polwitz, our shortstop on the team. Jimmy, you look like you could still play. Looks like you maybe still play.
I try to throw the ball around now and then. As you well know, Tom, we do that quite often, don't we? But just staying in the game in any form or fashion just brings me a lot of joy, as I'm sure it does you. So, yes.
Absolutely. Jim and I get together on Sunday morning at Riverside Park in Hammond and play catch, play a little pepper, just try to stay involved and keep in shape a little bit. Next to Jimmy is Peter Vargalich. Peter, come on over here.
Come on up.
Want to hear from you a little bit. Peter, you were certainly, I guess we could say you're one of the founding fathers of our Little League team here. You were the first one because your father was the manager, and I'm sure he had you in mind when he built this team.
Well, I'm not sure if he had me in mind. He certainly had all of these guys in mind, because I think he saw some talent in us when we were in the morning league, as it was called back then, when we were 7 to 9 years old, and wanted to give us the best opportunity to grow as athletes. And so in some of the structural changes that happened, gave us that opportunity so that we had good competition every day, which I think led to all of us developing to the best we could when we were 11 and 12 years old. We're not certainly high school athletes with super skills at that point, but I think that we all did very well, and so I appreciate my dad's vision at the time and bringing everybody in line and helping us become not only good athletes and what happened in 72, but I think all of those things influenced our abilities to become later on good adults and good family men.
Well, he was your father, but he was a father figure to all of us here. Such a great man with just great baseball and life wisdom, and we appreciate that.
Well, anytime. Thank you, Tom, for all this. Appreciate all your help with everything.
Thanks, Peter. And now I'd like to introduce John Davis, who was our starting pitcher in the final game in the Little League World Series, who started off facing Taiwan. John, thanks for joining.
Thanks, Tom.
So, John, what was it like? It's only been a half a century. Can you think back to what it was like to step on that mound for the first time in Williamsport? What were you feeling?
It's quite a few people out there. I mean, 40,000 people, and you just feel amazed at everything out there.
Now, that first pitch, do you remember throwing it?
I don't remember much from out there. You know, you get out there and you start playing, you don't hear the crowd, you don't hear anything. You know, it's just between everybody, all 9 players and everything, doing what you can.
How's it feel to be here tonight?
Great. It's a real honor. I mean, 50 years, that's a long time. I wish I was a little bit younger, but yeah, it's great to be here and be honored.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, they say everybody gets 15 minutes of fame in their life. Well, we were lucky to have it about a half a century ago, and now we're getting a few more minutes here tonight, Chris.
Well, it's certainly well-deserved and definitely long overdue. And again, every kid's dream when you play Little League Baseball is to do what you guys did. Tell me, what was your, do you have a fondest memory or something along those lines that you can share?
Well, I guess my fondest memory is of our leadership, Mr. Vargalich and Mr. Cornell, who basically took us under their wings and guided us through that process. You know, the games and winning the games was all very fun, but many of the things that our coaches said to us back in the late 60s and early 70s still ring true to me today, and I can still hear Mr. Vargalich's voice sometime when he says, just keep your mind in gear, or never underestimate your opponent, or don't play umpire. Those were the things that he would say very calmly but sternly, but man, they sure took hold and helped us all throughout the course of our lives.
Well, and you guys obviously accomplished a great deal, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about that run in 1972 and region baseball back then. I don't know how much of the tournament itself you might remember, but can you talk at all about any of the teams that you guys played locally and what the talent levels? I know Anderson had a real good team out of Gary the year before with Lloyd McClendon and all of that. What was the competition like back in those days in the region and to get out of it?
Well, you know, the competition was great even within our own little league. In fact, we had many players in our league that weren't on the quote-unquote all-star team that really could have been. And I think that goes to the genius of Mr. Vargalich, who really handpicked everybody for a specific role on that team. I was a utility player. I could run fast and I could catch the ball at first base. Wasn't the greatest hitter, but he recognized that, and as a result, chose me as one of the players for the team. As far as the teams that we played throughout the tournament, all the competition was very stiff. I mean, there were a couple of blowout games, but it wasn't because the other team wasn't up to speed. It was just because our team was just so strong. We had strength and depth really at every position, and everybody contributed. So one person was, George, Robbie, John, Gary, Fredericks. Those were our pitchers. We had other players on the team that could pitch, but never really saw the mound because they couldn't break past that foursome.
That's quite a rotation right there. Anybody that knows the history of Hammond sports, a couple of those names are extremely big at the high school level, maybe even beyond. Let's talk a little bit about the Edison, the area in which Edison School, of course, and Edison Little League, right on Calumet. Right. I think it's 171st. But talk about the drawing area. Where would kids have come from to play? Because I know that in high school, I believe they split up between Gavitt and Hammond High at that time. But what would have been the drawing area for Edison Little League?
Primarily South Hammond from the Riverside Park Expressway up until close to Wallace School, I suppose, and then from the state line on the west and Indianapolis Boulevard or so to the east. So it was a very condensed area. But keep in mind, back then there were a lot of kids. It was
every house had
tail end of the baby boom, and I mean there were kids on every block, and we spent our days playing not just Little League baseball, but during the day we'd play wiffle ball. Just pick up games at the park, or we'd be bouncing that ball off the side of our house and driving all of our moms crazy. So that's pretty much what we did.
And the tournament itself. Now I know now the World Series goes into the start of school and all that. School starts much earlier, I'm guessing, than it did back in those days, or at least as I remember. But take us through that kind of final journey from. I don't know, what do you win, regionals, and then you advance, or how is that? Kind of take us through that week or 2 week period there.
Okay, well, after the state tournament, we won the state tournament, and then we went up to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and won one game up there. That was a very close game. That was a come-from-behind win in the last inning. Then we played a team in the western Oak Lawn area that advanced us to Williamsport. And then once we, first time on an airplane for most of us, first time really away from home on our own. So we got to Williamsport, and back then it was single elimination, so it was a very quick tournament. Again, it's been 51 years, but I remember being there for 3 or 4 nights. We played a total of 3 games. The first game was against a team from Vienna, Virginia, and then the follow-up game was a team from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that earned us the United States Championship. And then the final game was against Taipei, Taiwan. We lost that game, but our goal was to get to the final game. Looking back, that was really our season goal.
Now, was that final game, did that make it? I believe ABC used to televise those. I remember Mickey Mantle doing a game one time.
It did.
Anything like that that you recall?
Absolutely. Yeah, we all were introduced on TV for a brief moment to say our name and what position we played. The final game was on TV. It was tape delayed. So we played the game, and then by the time we got back and took our showers and changed clothes, we were in the clubhouse having an ice cream sundae watching the game on TV.
How cool is
and
that?
we knew the outcome, but it wasn't, we weren't dragging around disappointed. We all did our best, and we knew that, throughout the tournament, we had confidence that we could beat pretty much any team that we played. But I think in that final game, we weren't quite sure. It just seemed like we were maybe a little outmatched.
But still, what a ride, what a journey. And now finally, more than 50 years later, the honor that the team deserves here, recognition and membership into the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame.
Oh my gosh, what a big
first
thrill.
Team.
Yes.
And I believe, as I've learned here, maybe perhaps the one slight hiccup or holdup for you guys was that they didn't do teams before this. So you guys are trailblazers now, as I understand it, the first team to go in. So I imagine more will be recognized.
Yes.
But if they're going to have a first, it should definitely be
Well,
the
we're all very
1972 Edison Little League.
Very proud, very honored to be here at all, but to be the first team inducted into the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame. Big thrill.
Congratulations on that. And if you could, please take one more time around the horn to introduce your teammates, please.
Absolutely. To my immediate right, Peter Vargalich, our catcher. Tom Bialik, catcher. Tom Parker. I'm Tom Bialik. Tom Parker, our outfielder, catcher. Jim Polowitz, our slick feeling shortstop, Jim Polowitz. Ironman Jeff Wright behind the plate. Pete Del Rio in right field. Second baseman Mike Razgani. And for third base and pitcher, my hero, George Leonakis. And John Davis, who was a magician because he disappeared for a minute there, and now he's back.
And he's Tom Bialik, another member of that team, and a face you probably recognize if you're out and about anywhere in Northwest Indiana. Tom, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Chris.
your help on this. Guys, congratulations once again, and enjoy your evening. We'll talk to you later, okay? The 1972 Hammond Edison Little League Baseball Team World Series runners-up, now inducted into the Hall of Fame. We'll be back with more here from the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame and the Hammond Civic Center on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Okay, great.
back here at the Hammond Civic Center. Michael Brenner here along with Juan Alba, one of the inductees tonight for the 37th Annual Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, brought to you by Strack Van Til. First off, congratulations. How does it feel to be a Hall of Famer?
Thank you. It's a little overwhelming seeing how many people are still out here supporting me, but it's fun. I'm just trying to soak it all in, give my camera to my nieces so they can take as many pictures so I could remember this night for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you are a very decorated athlete. 12 letters under your belt, or on your chest, I should say, on the jacket. Multiple sport athlete. How do you keep in shape for all of those different sports? I mean, football, wrestling, track and field, all of that.
It's easy for football and track and field because just bulk up and get as much muscle on me as I could. And then I'd have to cut it off for wrestling season, which Coach Emerald, the track coach, never really liked because he wanted me to just get bigger, faster, and stronger rather than cutting all that weight.
But all-state offensive lineman, 125 victories as a wrestler, and then going to Notre Dame as a member of the discus team. That had to be a pretty fun run overall in high school at Gavitt. 2000 graduate, correct?
Yes.
All right. And you were telling me a fun story about going down to, Mexico that you went to? And we'll just throw some fun stories in there about your time at Gavitt before we move on to Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I was part of an exchange program in high school through IU to go for a summer down to Mexico to learn Spanish. While I was there, the host family had a cousin who was on the track team at his college. And he said that they needed a person to throw shot put and discus. So he gave me one of his jerseys. I went out to the track, and I ended up winning both events.
There you go. So you're just on a nice little trip down to Mexico and win a nice little discus event. And that helped propel you going to Notre Dame. And I saw that you got some all Big East honors. It's weird to think Notre Dame and Big East anymore, right? That's not
right. Now it's all
Right,
ACC.
exactly. So just talk about your experience and how being at Gavitt and being around this community kind of helped propel you to get to South Bend.
So it was great. I've always wanted to go to Notre Dame. I thought about football for a while when Lou Holtz was still there. It's like, how can I not play for such a legendary coach?
Correct.
But when he retired and Bob Davie took over, I was like, okay, track is going to be my focus. And as soon as I got into the school, the track coach, we talked to the track coach there, and he said, yeah, just tell him to come on out. And one thing led to another. I was on the team, and then I ended up being one of the top throwers by the time I was a junior or senior.
There you go. So just kind of, was that an all-year prep that you had to focus on at Notre Dame? Because obviously during your time in high school, you're focusing on different sports. But when you're at Notre Dame, are you focusing on just that all year long?
Yeah, track was I think football and track are the only two sports that NCAA goes year-round, and they're doing NCAA testing and everything throughout the year. But yeah, it was, when we weren't in competition, we were out there practicing. We had rubber discs to throw indoors and 35-pound weight, and so we didn't have to throw the hammer.
There you go.
It's a little dangerous throwing that inside.
Correct.
Yeah, but it is all year long. As soon as we get there in the fall, we're going straight to practice, and then a lot of us stayed for Christmas break and over the summer just to keep throwing. All right.
Any fun memories you want to share about your time at Notre Dame that won't get you in trouble, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. There are a lot that do get you in trouble, but that's what college is for.
I don't disagree.
And
maybe just like a road trip somewhere that you guys, or a road match that you guys had to be a part of that was fun.
No, I think the most fun I had was actually at practices. We didn't really have a throwing specific coach for the first couple of years.
Okay.
So we were just kind of out there on our own, and then one of the javelin throwers decided he's going to show me how to throw the hammer, but he picked up the broken hammer with a broken swivel. And I was trying to warn him, but he's like, no, I got this. And I was like, all right, you have it. And the ball flies off, and his weight counters and goes flying the other way.
There you go. You tried to warn him. You tried to help him.
I did my best.
But you're still local to the area, living in Munster, and so what does it mean to be at an event like this? Like, obviously the camera's focused on this particular area, but we got a whole crowd of people that are just reminiscing about their times maybe in Hammond or Hammond sports or what they've seen over the years.
Yeah, it was great, especially seeing Dobbs. He's the Gavitt super fan.
Yes.
So just being able to catch up with him, some old teachers, and then even having people come from all over. Like, I had no idea my uncle was going to fly up from Georgia, and he's here tonight. So
there you go.
It's nice as he's kind of focused and having everyone sort of like a homecoming. So it's just really nice.
Well, congratulations to you. We look forward to hearing you with your speech a little bit later on this evening, and we'll have that for you right here on the Region Sports Network. So we'll see you a little bit later on tonight. Go mingle, go enjoy the festivities, and have some fun tonight.
All right, thanks. I will.
All right, we'll have more here from the 37th Annual Hammond Sports Hall of Fame from the Hammond Civic Center, brought to you by Strack Van Til on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town. All right, good stuff.
Right, thanks a lot.
Right, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I should have shook your hand before I
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what the official schedule says to do. I just wanted to grab somebody. Sure. I think they want to start at 6, don't they? We got 9 minutes.
I'm going to do Kathy Kusanovich on behalf of Lou.
Okay.
And that'll do it, right?
Nagy.
Who?
Mark Nagy.
Oh, Mark Nagy. Yep. Mark
Jim Tark is here.
Mark is Tommy Franks' center, too. Or was, I should say.
Jim Tark is here somewhere.
Yep. We haven't done him here?
No. And Roy McPike.
Where's Roy at? All right. Well, those
Kathy,
are all Bradners.
How do you spell your first name? With a C or a K?
It's a K.
Okay.
What's happening?
What up, big man?
Hey,
All right.
I knew I was going to get to see you tonight. I had to get here.
Jody just ran into Evan and Carlos the other day.
Yeah, that's what they told me. They said
Yeah.
they ran into her. And she said, yeah, John said he's see me
Oh,
on
there's Scott.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it. I didn't know your dad was a badass. I was reading that article about all the inductees. I'm like, wow, cool.
Yeah, we're pretty happy.
Yeah, long overdue.
That's awesome, right? It takes so long.
Yeah.
You know?
Politics.
Yeah, it is politics.
What's up with Chris?
Not too much, man. Same old stuff.
Huh?
How
I
about
follow you all the time. I'm a wrestling fan, you know.
Oh, beautiful.
So
Yeah.
I know all the guys from Crown Point. I know all the coaches.
Is that right?
Vince, my son wrestled under Vince.
I'm putting graphics on the screen.
Yeah,
I'll make sure I get it all right. So.
Aaron, the brother. You know, I knew all the susses and Coach Hawkins and
You gotta come sit in on a broadcast with us and
Cosgrove.
reminisce.
I know all them. I sit and listen to some of the commentary. I got a chocolate.
Civic Center. Beautiful night here, inside and out along Soul Street in Hammond. The Hammond Sports Hall of Fame induction and ceremony along with the dinner tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun, and right now I'm joined by Kathy Kasanovich, the daughter of Lou Kasanovich, one of tonight's inductees, a long overdue honor that finally comes to your dad. So congratulations to your father and the family.
Thank you, Chris. We're really excited that this is happening. Proud of him.
Well, he had quite a career not only at Hammond High, but at Indiana University. In particular that I know of, he played football, but you can tell us a little bit more if you can about what your dad did as a high school and college athlete.
He did. He graduated from Hammond High. He grew up in Hammond and was the only son of 6 children. And he graduated to Hammond High in 1943. He was the quarterback of the football team, Wildcats, under Coach Carl Huffine. And he also played with Bernie Kruger, who went on to be at the Illini. And of course, later was a Hammond High coach. But then Dad graduated in 43, and he was drafted to go to serve his country in World War II, and was in the Army in the Philippines for about 2.5 years, earned the Brown Star while he was there, and came back, and he continued his education at Indiana University in Bloomington.
And had quite the career there, from what I understand. Played even with George Telefaro back in the day, and playing at a Big Ten school at any time, playing the position of quarterback is quite an elite situation that not everybody finds themselves in, but your dad was obviously good enough to do it. It's one of the reasons he's getting inducted tonight into the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame.
It is true. He did play for 3 years with George Telefaro, and he actually became friends. And George Telefaro years later came to visit him a couple times at the house, and he played, I believe, his sophomore year. I don't know if he started all 3 years, but he did. He was on the varsity team, and we have pictures and proof of that. And I don't know what their record was back then, but we're proud. We're proud of his accomplishments back then, and that he served his country and continued school and college.
And you absolutely have a lot to be proud of. Now, you mentioned, growing up in Hampden. What background can you tell? Do you know what neighborhood or what street?
Yeah,
what do you know?
He actually grew up over off of 100 Southeastern and 170th Street. They had I would consider it a little mini farm. It was a couple acres they had back then, and had a plow horse, and they grew up with gardens. And he went to Woodrow Wilson Elementary School, and actually was friends with Horst Mamala back then. They lived 2 doors apart, really. And so they had their childhood friendship, and they actually were down at IU together, but the family was friends, Serbian family, and yeah.
So your dad spent pretty much his whole life in Hammond then, other than the time he was in the service or at IU, is that right?
That is true. He did get an offer to come and try out with the New York Yanks from NFL coach Norm Red Strader in 1950 when he graduated. And somewhere along the line, he met Mom, and his path took a different course, and he married my mom, and he went on to eventually support all of us in our athletic endeavors years later. So they were always pretty much hands-on and involved in we played varsity sports, and so that was a big part of their lives, watching us years later. So
Lou Kasanovich inducted this year, finally, after a long wait, in the class of 2023 for the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame. We're visiting with his oldest daughter, Kathy. He's got 3 children. Kathy has a sister, Jody, and a brother, Alex. Jody, I believe, is here tonight. Alex is down in Texas, so he was unable to make it. But I'm sure you guys are all very proud of your father and very happy. This has to be something for your family that seems like was long overdue, I would think.
It is.
I know he was originally up for consideration, I think,
He was.
back in the 90s, and for some reason it happened to slip through. But fortunately, it came back on the table. His name did, and the Veterans Committee saw their way through to approve him, recognize him, and induct him. So a special night for the Kasanovich family tonight.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's great to see you, Kathy.
You too.
All right, everybody, we're going to take another time out. I believe we've got a couple of more interviews coming up here, so we'll be back with more from the Hammond Civic Center on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Michael Brenner back here at the Hammond Civic Center here with Coach Tarka. Coach, first off, congratulations. This is a long time coming, I'm sure, but we're at the 37th Annual Hall of Fame here for Hammond Sports, brought to you by Strack Van Til. What does this honor mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. I mean, to be with all this, the greatest athletes of Hammond and greatest coaches is just phenomenal. And for me to join that group is awesome. I mean, I'm so honored and blessed to be here with all these good athletes and coaches.
And you were a head coach at Bishop Knoll for the track and field team and then the cross-country team as well for many, many years, about almost 15 years, correct?
Yes.
Just talk about your experiences with that, what you loved, the stressful days that made you want to quit sometimes, but you stuck with it anyway.
No, believe it or not, I was where I was supposed to be, doing what I was supposed to be doing. I never considered it a job. I had great people to work with. I had great assistant coaches. I had really fantastic athletes. And so it was a joy to be there. I really didn't have any frustrating times over there. No, it was really good, really enjoyable.
You were in education and said you had no hard times. I don't believe you for a second.
Well, you have to understand, I taught boys PE. I was in the field house, and nobody ever bothered me. They never bothered me. They let me do my thing.
There you go.
And so I never had anybody come and try to tell me what to do or how to do it better.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's why I had no.
We need more of that.
Yes, yes. However, I was a drill sergeant in the Army, and I taught my class like a drill sergeant, so the higher ups knew my class was under control.
You were good. You were
Yeah.
good. All right. So 5 state individuals that won state titles. Going on to that, just kind of talk about those 5 individuals, and then just all your athletes in general. I know you said you had great athletes, but just talk about kind of the guys maybe who stick out in your mind as some of the ones that mean a lot to you.
Well, yes, I had 5 individuals. I had a 4x100 relay team state champions. So I had some really good athletes who worked hard and they wanted to be good. And once we started winning and being good, they wanted to be good. And it was just as important for me to the guy who the slowest guy on the team to the fastest guy on the team. The slowest guy on the team, if he increased his mile time by 30, 40 seconds, he was a winner.
Yeah.
I was elated for him because he worked his butt off and he got a much better time. So that's why I think everybody liked it, because they knew I didn't have my 3 or 4 stars. The whole team was, if a pole vaulter increased his vault by 6 or 8 inches, I was happy for him, and I told him, yes.
For sure. And you stayed really close, tied to the community as well. Starting up a program here in Northwest Indiana. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, the Calumet Region Spiders?
Yeah.
It was after the 76 Olympics, and Frank Shorter was running, and I said, we don't have anything like that. Maybe we should. So we should have something like that. So I put ad in the newspaper. We're going to have a meeting, and we met at the Highland Library, and a bunch of people showed up, and we talked about getting a running club going, and we finally got the running club going after a couple meetings, and then eventually, because we were all runners at the time, and then we started a Gold Cup series where different races would participate, and you had to get so many for all the way. Yeah, so that was a great time. That was an awesome time too.
Yeah, it was fun reading a little bit about that and just how it all broke down, and it was fun to watch, and then just to read a little bit about you. And I actually got to talk to 2 of your former students today. I was telling you about that earlier. I won't name their names, but and they were giving some stories about you a little bit, so I won't repeat all those stories. But
not under my yeah.
But it's still. I mean, I'm in education, and you know that when you are a coach and you have the kids in the class, it's a fun dynamic to be able to see these kids excel, like you're talking about. Like even if it's just an inch or a little bit of time, it means a lot to you as a coach to see these kids succeed.
Well, yeah, because it means they put in the work to get that, to increase their time or their distance or whatever. That was and so we had a good program. So everybody in the team was just as important as anybody.
Yeah.
So,
and then obviously a night like this is enshrining some of the best in Hammond history, and you get to say that you're a part of that. Now, who's with you here today that you want to give a shout out to that might
part of my state relay winning 4x100 relay team? A couple of the members are here. 3 of the members are here, and my family's here, and I got all kind of people here tonight to support me. So it's and I see, as I said, I'm seeing all kind of athletes that I coached before, and it's just a fantastic feeling. All the congratulations. It's just awesome tonight.
All right. Well, our congratulations to you as well. We're very excited for you. Can't wait to hear you up at the ceremony a little bit later. I'm sure you got the words all finely tuned and everything.
Yeah, right. Yes. I hope so.
All right. Well, we'll see you a little bit later on tonight. Again, congratulations. Thanks for taking some time to talk with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this. You take care.
All right. We'll see you soon here on the Region Sports Network. We got a few more interviews to go. We'll have it all for you here from the Hammond Civic Center on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town. center. Michael Renner here along with Mark Nagy. And Mark, no relation to the old Bears football coach, correct?
No relation, but he comes from some good Hungarian roots.
All right, we're gonna stick with that just right there. But first off, congratulations on the induction here tonight. I'm sure this is kind of overwhelming in a sense.
It's wonderful. I can't describe what it's like to see all these people. Haven't seen them for 30, 40 years and such.
Yeah, because you're not in the area anymore. You're down in the southern part of Indiana. But man, what an experience it is to come back here and then see some, maybe some old classmates, maybe some old coaches, teachers, all that kind of stuff from Hammond High.
It's great, and coming back to Hammond too. It's a good city. It's great that they put this together. Just glad to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hammond High, they're telling you to keep the microphone a little closer. There you go.
Okay.
All right, we got this. All right, perfect. Now, obviously, football and then track and field on the shot put. But football, let's start there. Offensive, defensive line. How did you manage? How did you manage both? And then you were the center on the offensive line.
Times were a little different
Okay.
back then, and we'd go where the coach needed us, and you just play our heart out, listen to the coach, and couldn't be more thankful for the coaches from Hammond High back then, and just being a young lad, and really not knowing too much in life, and they help guide you straight, set you good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like that's kind of the things about coaches that we don't hear athletes. They talk about how they praise them and they tell them that, but they forget that how to be the better person in life. That's awesome to hear.
Yes.
Sometimes we forget about those things.
And they actually cared. They care so much that they would talk to you, spend time with you. Then they demanded a lot out of you too. It's good life lessons.
Yeah, for sure. And then you were on the track team or the field team as well. So for shot put, which is how you got to Butler as well. Talk about that experience and how maybe being from Gavitt helped propel you to a town like Indianapolis.
Well, I always loved shot putting. For some reason, just love shot putting. Yeah. If you have any tensions, you grab a steel ball, throw it, and start yelling. And sometimes if you find success in something, it keeps you driven, it keeps you going. And it's a great sport. I went to Butler, got a scholarship on it, got me through college. Not much, and it was in a different era.
Yeah.
Times have changed. And it's great to see the guys like Ryan Krauser right now setting world records for America, doing great. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, and you set school and sectional records in that respect as well when you were throwing. So
yes.
that had to be something for you to be able to say that you set a record at something. Not many people can do that.
Yes. It just came along with having fun and throwing. Still got the record down at Butler after all these years. Okay. Surprise, surprise. And Coach Brown, I'll tell you what, he got that track team going good. He got known for shot putters. Started, and there was starting it up, there was 60-footers. There was nothing heard of as 60-footers up here. But he had 3 of them in a row and almost a 4th year after year. Yeah.
So you get to be a part of that legacy, kind of helping build that program to an extent, if you will.
Without realizing it, yes.
That's fun. It's fun to be able to tell people later on, like, hey, I got to be a part of this for a great community. And I mean, obviously, our cameras are only focused over here, but I mean, the crowd behind us that we're looking at right now, it's spectacular to be a part of. This community is like none other.
Yes. It's wonderful to see.
And you get to be a part of that. So, obviously, not as tied to the program maybe as much anymore, but I know you said you've gotten to drive by the new Hammond Central a little bit and see what that was like. And the building you went to when you were at Hammond High.
Say that again?
It's not the same building that you were at when you were at Hammond High.
The old Hammond High was very pretty, though.
Yeah.
That old red brick, the old stuff really had character.
Oh, it did.
But, times change. Times happened.
For sure.
And the kids deserve more modern facilities and such. So, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. But it would have been nice to keep the same name.
I don't disagree with you, but
some tradition's good.
Yeah.
But it's a good high school.
And there are a lot of you wearing the Hammond High quarter zips I see here. There's quite a few people over there.
Yes.
So it's fun to be able to still see some of that tradition and that heritage that comes along with Hammond. So good stuff. All right, well, congratulations. I know you're getting your remarks all finely tuned for your speech a little bit later on, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, thank you. I got them written down. We'll see what happens.
Well, you got a good start right here, so then you can just carry that on right there. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Congratulations to you. We'll have the whole ceremony for you in just a little while here from the Hammond Civic Center here at the Hammond Sports Hall of Fame, brought to you by Strack and Van Til on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Hammond Civic Center, the 2023 Hammond Sports Hall of Fame induction and ceremony, the dinner, all of it here tonight in this beautiful arena. Michael, I almost called you Mark. Mark would be his uncle.
Yes.
Who probably spent a few nights in here as well. But what a great night, a great class of inductees. Always fun to be in this building. What are your thoughts tonight?
You know, I feel like one of the I've been in here a few times, but one of the last times I was in this gym was a chance to call a sectional game with my dad. So this gym always had, and that was actually the first time on the Region Sports Network him and I got to call a game together. So this gym holds a lot of fun memories, and I mean, Wes Lukosha said it best. And yeah, what an event this is. The community of Hammond is like none other. You're tied to a lot of guys from Hammond. You know, a lot of my family went to, whether Morton or wherever the case may be. And there's always stories being told about, you know, when this happened or what this propelled to this. And, you know, Hammond even once held, the NFL team, or was that somewhere in this area, like not too far away from here. But
yeah, up in Turner Park, north side of Hammond, yep.
I mean, what kind of history this community has, and everybody loves to talk about it. And, you know, like I've said before, our cameras aren't picking it up, but man, oh man, what a crowd is already here at the Hammond Center.
Oh, really? It really is. I mean, the number of Hammond celebrities, sports celebrities that are here tonight. It's one of the great things is that people come back.
Yeah.
You know, Hammond has seen a lot of families move out over the years, but they all come back, or a lot of them do anyway, for stuff like this and for other things. People that grew up in Hammond, a lot of them still have an affection and appreciation and respect for the city, and you can tell. And events like this prove it, because people who might live 30, 40, 50 miles away, and I've seen them here tonight, guys that live as far away as Valpo, coming out here tonight just to see old friends, to reminisce, to walk through this old building again. Wes Lukosha just does a great job. You know, we've been fortunate at Region Sports, Michael, to be involved with a number of the various sports Hall of Fames in Northwest Indiana to some degree or another. And all I can say is that Wes Lukosha has the blueprint for how to get it done. He really does. This has been going on for a long time. It's extremely well run. It's always very well attended. Of course, they've got the great venue, the best venue for it in Northwest Indiana, in my opinion. But really, the committee and everybody, they do a great job. One thing that I liked is that they've opened it up to teams now. We've tonight, the 1972 Edison Little League World Series runner-up team was inducted, and I'm guessing that'll be the first of several teams that get in, because Hammond's had some great teams over the years. Some mythical state champions in football, the Hammond Tech Tigers state championship basketball way back in the day. So a lot of great sports, a lot of great athletes from here.
Yeah, it's fun to watch too, or to be able to see, like we've used as our backdrop tonight, just all these photos of all the inductees and all the previous banquets that they've had here, or for the awards ceremony. So it's really cool to see all this history. As a history buff, I love that kind of stuff, to see those kind of photos there. So we're going to be doing.
I think it's time to cut loose here.
Yeah, we're going to be wrapping things up. The ceremony's going to start in just a little bit. We're getting ready to do the national anthem.
We have an introductory prayer or speech coming up. There's the flag here. So
we're going to
wrap it up here from the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.